Hello, everyone, and welcome to Modern Skills in English. Today, we're talking about something almost everyone experiences, but very few people talk about: the silent shock of your first real job.
You spend years in school, you work so hard, you get the degree, and then your job is checking spreadsheets, or scheduling meetings, or copying text from one document to another. I feel like I'm wasting my time. I feel like my brain is slowly turning off. Is this it? Is my career stalling before it even started?
That feeling is incredibly common, Mark. Most people think success in a first job is about being impressive, about showing how smart you are. But what if the opposite is true? What if the most boring part of your job is actually the most important key to your future?
How? It just feels meaningless. I'm not learning anything. I'm just a pair of hands doing work a machine could probably do better.
That's the default way to see it. It sounds reasonable. But that perspective puts you in a waiting position, waiting for a better job, waiting for more interesting work, waiting for someone to notice you.
Yes, exactly. I am waiting. What else can I do?
Instead of waiting, we can start investigating. The problem isn't the work itself. The problem is thinking that your only job is to do the work. Your real hidden job is to understand the work, to see the system behind the task.
I don't follow. My task is to copy customer addresses from our email system into a delivery spreadsheet. What system is there to understand? It's just copying.
Let's start there. That's our first turning point. Most new employees believe, my job is to complete this task correctly and efficiently.
That sounds right. My manager wants the spreadsheet to be accurate and finished on time.
And that's true, but it's only the first level. If that's all you do, you become very good at one small thing. You become a perfect machine part, and machine parts are easy to replace. It keeps you stuck.
So I'm making myself replaceable by doing my job well? That doesn't make sense.
You're doing the task well, but you're missing the opportunity. The new way to think is this. This simple task is not a box to be checked. It's a window. You have a front row seat to see how a small part of the business actually functions.
A window to what? I'm just looking at a screen with names and addresses. It's so repetitive, so boring.
It is. The work can be very mundane. But ask yourself questions while you do this mundane work. Where do these addresses come from? Which department sends the emails? Who uses this spreadsheet after I'm finished with it? What happens if I make a mistake? What business problem does this simple task solve?
I don't know the answers to most of those questions. I just get an email with a list and I move the data.
Exactly. Imagine you start noticing a pattern. For example, you notice that addresses from one specific city often have errors. The postal codes are wrong. Now, the old thinking is, my job is just to copy it. The new thinking is, why is this happening? Maybe you discover that the online form for that city is confusing. By noticing that, you've moved from a simple data entry clerk to someone who is spotting a business problem. You've moved from doing the task to understanding the system.
Okay, I can see how that's different. It feels more active, but it leads to the next problem. The second belief I have is that I should just do what I'm told. If I start looking for problems, am I not overstepping? It's not my job to fix the company's website forms.
This is a huge fear for new employees. I need to wait for instructions and permission. And it comes from a good place. You want to be respectful.
Right. I don't want my manager to think I'm criticizing her or that I think I know better than everyone else.
But this belief quietly fails you. Because by only doing what you're told, you send a clear message. I lack the confidence or the awareness to think for myself. You are asking to be managed constantly. Managers are busy. They value people who can make their lives easier.
So what's the alternative? Do I send a big email to the whole department saying, I found a problem and we should all fix it? That feels arrogant.
No, you start much smaller. The new way of thinking is to find and solve the tiny, low-risk problems that are completely within your control. You don't need a meeting or a big announcement. You just need a little initiative. Small problems like what? Let's use your spreadsheet example. Maybe the spreadsheet itself is formatted poorly. The columns are too narrow, the font is hard to read. It takes everyone an extra few seconds to understand it. That's a tiny friction point. One day, you spend 10 minutes creating a slightly better version, a clean template. The data is the same, but it's just easier to use. You don't ask for permission, you just do it.
And then what? Do I show it to my boss?
Gently. The next time you send it, you can add a simple note. Hi Sarah, I created a slightly cleaner template for this report to make it easier to read. The raw data is in the second tab if you prefer the old way. Let me know what you think. That's it. You're not demanding anything. You're offering a small improvement. You are showing initiative without asking for a reward. You are making your manager's life 0.5% easier.
I can see that. It's not risky, but it feels so small. Will anyone even notice?
At first, maybe not, but you do it again and again. You become the person who quietly makes things a little bit better. That reputation is more powerful than any big, loud project, which brings us to our third turning point.
Okay, what's that?
The belief that the information you handle is just data, that it's boring and has no real value.
Well, a lot of it is. Customer numbers, order dates, contact lists, it's not exciting.
The information might not be exciting to you, but it's the lifeblood of the company, and how you handle that information sends a powerful signal about your maturity and professionalism.
What do you mean by how I handle it? I just copy it. I don't do anything with it.
The new way to think is that you are not just a data mover, you are a data guardian. Every piece of information, no matter how simple, requires care. For example, that customer list. A beginner sees a list of names. A professional sees a collection of relationships that the company has spent years building. They understand that this information is sensitive and should be handled with discretion. Do you talk about specific customer details with colleagues who don't need to know? Do you leave your computer unlocked with the list on the screen? These small acts build a foundation of trust. When people know they can trust you with small things, they start giving you bigger things.
So by being careful with the boring information, I'm actually building trust?
Exactly. And more than that, when you treat the data with respect, you start to see the story behind it. You might notice that two different teams are both contacting the same clients, creating confusion. You might notice an important client has suddenly stopped ordering. You see that because you're not just mindlessly copying, you're paying attention. That observation is incredibly valuable intelligence.
This all sounds great, Sarah, but my manager is so busy, I don't think she'd even notice these small improvements. And my tasks are so simple, I can't really find any patterns. I just have to replicate the same report every single day. If I start trying to find gaps, won't I just look like I'm not doing my actual job? It feels like a choice between being a good, fast worker and being this investigator you're describing.
That is the perfect question because it reveals the central misunderstanding. It is not a choice. One enables the other. You don't stop doing your main job. You get so good at the mundane part, so fast and accurate at the part you have to replicate, that it becomes almost automatic. It takes up less of your mental energy.
So I become a master of the boring work?
Precisely. You master it to free up your mind. While your hands are doing the familiar, repetitive task, your brain is free to look out that window we talked about, to observe the system. The trust you build by showing discretion with information gives you the unspoken permission to show initiative on small improvements. You start to connect the dots.
So I need to use my position, use the fact that I'm doing this simple job as an advantage?
Exactly. You leverage your position. Senior managers are too far away from the daily details. They see the final report, but they don't see the messy process of creating it. You do. You are closer to the ground. You can see the small frictions, the inefficiencies, the frustrations that they can't. Your boring job gives you access to a level of detail that is invisible to almost everyone else. That is your unique advantage.
So my boring job isn't a prison. It's more like a training ground, a secret one. The goal isn't to escape it. The goal is to use it.
Now you're seeing it. You use the mundane work as a tool for discovery.
Okay, let me try to summarize this. I have to master the tasks I replicate every day. That builds a baseline of competence and frees up my mind.
Yes.
Then, while I'm doing that work, I look for patterns and small problems. I use my own initiative to solve tiny things without needing permission, which slowly builds a reputation for being helpful.
Perfect.
And all the while, I treat the information I'm handling with discretion, showing that I'm mature and trustworthy. It's not about doing one big project, it's about using the simple, mundane work as a way to see the real company, to leverage my unique position.
That's it. You've just described the path from being a passive task doer to an active problem solver, and that is what every great career is built on. I feel different. I thought my career was stalled, but maybe it's just getting started, just in a way I didn't expect. I'm still doing the same work tomorrow, but I'm going to be looking for something else now. Not just at the screen, but through it. Hello, everyone listening. We hope this was helpful. If there's a specific challenge you're facing at work or in your studies that you'd like us to explore, please let us know in the comments.